Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Shoaib Kabani, and I'm a co-founder at Buffy. We're a direct-to-consumer comforter company, but we also have other bedding products that we've launched over the last 5 months. We are meticulously obsessed with materials innovation. So we love focusing on materials that are either from natural sources or recycled or regenerated. We primarily use eucalyptus, which is a plant-based material that uses only 10% of the water of cotton, is biodegradable and very soft and cooling to the touch. And we also use recycled PET as our film material for our comforters because they would have ended up in landfills, oceans, or just being burned. So the sustainability around materials is a big focus of ours. We launched in December 2017, and as I mentioned, have launched a suite of other bedding products. And to date are very proud of being able to reconsume 10 million plastic bottles and upcycle them in our supply chain process. Save over 150 million gallons of water that would have gone to creating things like cotton or other materials. And finally, we recently launched with our naturally dyed products. We're the first company to take natural dyes to scale. Natural dyes have been around forever, but we've been able to take it to scale by using fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based sources to create natural dye color. So this is what we're proud of, but before any of this happened, before we even launched the brand in 2017, my co-founders and I spent about 10 months validating our idea. Why did we do this? Well, we did this because of customer development. We wanted to understand what were customer pain points with their bedding, specifically with their comforter. What did they really enjoy in it, but also what did they wish they can get more out of it? So really wanted to understand the customer psyche and what they wanted out of their comforter and bedding products. The second reason we wanted to validate our idea is for product development, to really tee in on the perfect product that we should be launching with. And thirdly, we did it for digital product development, to really understand the messaging hierarchy we need to display to our customers. What type of assets, imagery, and art direction really resonate with consumers out there? And finally, what are the offer mechanics that we need to share with customers for them to convert right when they see the offer? So when we first started to validate our idea, we started in an apartment in San Francisco. We were taking comforters, wrapping it in these bags, as you can see ourselves, and sending it out to focus group participants. These were, moms in New York and Florida, college students in California, and we would get feedback from them about our comforter products. But what we quickly realized is these people aren't buying our comforter, they're getting it for free. So is that feedback really super valid? So we said, let's drop that. Let's create a website. Let's launch Facebook ads and see what it takes to really sell a comforter online. So we launched this really janky-looking website, as you can tell, and launched random Facebook ads. And really, for our first few weeks, we weren't getting any sales. We were spending money on ads, no sales. Optimizing, no sales. But that really helped us, and I think that was everything for us, because what we really learned is what is the messaging that we need to display to our customers? What offer mechanics work best? So for example, a lot of the bedding companies out there and other D2Cs have either a 30-night return policy or a 100-night free trial. But what we learned is, yeah, this is great, but customers really just want the bedding in their home without having to pay for it. Well, that's kind of tricky, but we made it happen. We gave customers a risk-free try-at-home program where they can put their card down, take the comforter home, we ship it to them, and they're able to sleep with it, and if they don't love it, they can return it. If they love it, they keep it, and we end up authorizing the charge on their credit card. So really, we were able to learn that through the process of 3 months of just offer validation. As you can see, we tried 100-night risk-free trial, we tried a year risk-free trial, but really that try before buying program worked for us. The other thing we learned, and you can't really see it here because these images aren't that great, but what art direction really works best for us, right? And what we learned really early on is studio shots and any other like meme-based shots don't really work well with our consumer. What we learned is UGC, or influencer-generated content, works really well. Consumers want to see their bedding products in a normal home, not in a studio. They want to see a home where it's okay if your bed isn't made or there's clothes on the floor. They want to see that very authentic image, and we learned really early on that that was the way that we would be able to attract a customer through our art direction and our imagery. Now, I mentioned product development, and that was a big reason why we validated our idea. When we were selling online on that beta website, we sent 9 different variations of our comforter to customers. Probably not great for me to say that, but it was a different brand. But yeah, we sent these 9 variations, and really what we did was when the customer got the product, we would hit them up, email them, call them, and say, hey, you can keep this product for free, or we'll give you half off. Just give us feedback on the product. What did you really think of it? Are you a hot sleeper? Are you a cold sleeper? Did this help with that? Right? Did you enjoy the softness and fluffiness levels? How did you interact with it with your significant other? Did your kids like it? Did your pets like it? And that really helped us tee into one specific type of comforter that we were going to launch with. Now, the comforters were different colors, had different stitching patterns, had different fill weights, et cetera, et cetera. And through these 9 variations, we were able to tee into the one that we were going to launch with, which what we learned was a very soft and fluffy comforter. Very simple. People wanted to sleep in a cloud. So we launched with a comforter that we called our cloud comforter, which is super soft and fluffy. And then later on, we learned that customers really want something to keep them cool, because there are a lot of hot sleepers out there. About 60% of people claim they're hot sleepers. So we launched another comforter that's 100% plant-based that is meant for temperature regulation. So a lot of that upfront product validation really taught us what we need to launch with and what should be in our product pipeline. This was our warehousing and fulfillment operations in the 10 months before we launched. We were working out of this warehouse where we would pack boxes ourselves. We would put tape on ourselves. We would even sometimes write addresses in Sharpie, and then we learned, well, you can buy a printer and slap a label on. But really, this was also very important to understand our unit economics and the type of operations we need to launch with. In our mind, we were very naive, and we were like, oh, we should start our own warehouse when we launch. We need to just lease a space for 5 years and hire people in a warehouse. But no, we learned quickly you can rely on 3PLs to do that, third-party logistics providers, to fulfill your products. We also learned what is the way you need to package the goods to make shipping costs the lowest possible. The boxes you see up here are big boxes. Costs a lot of money to ship that. We were able to, after learning this, vacuum seal our comforters into a very small package, and the shipping cost was about 30% of the original cost. And what we also learned was that what does it take to quickly fulfill the product? How do you box the product, right? What's the best way to ship it out? And worked with our 3PLs to really make that process efficient. So this is what our 3PL looks like now. So you can kind of see the big difference of when we started and what it is today. I show these 2 different images because, it might not look very sexy, if you will, to be doing this, right? To be going to a warehouse and packaging your own goods and shipping them out, but it was really what taught us what we needed to do and have really strong unit economics, and contribution profitability is what we call it when we launch. So just to recap some of the things what we really learned by validating our idea. One was we learned that we can really sell a comforter online. You'd be surprised, there are a lot of D2C companies that are launching, they're selling anything and everything, but it's not really easy to sell online after a certain level. After a certain point, things become really competitive on Facebook and Instagram ads. You have to compete against some of the big dogs who are spending millions of dollars a month. So this process really taught us what are the exact things we need to do to really attract a customer and sell to them online. What we learned early on was there are 3 things that we should be showing customers or messaging to them. Selfish benefits around the comforter. something that's very soft and fluffy that I mentioned, that you'll sleep very comfortably in. Second thing was our offer mechanics. You can try this at home for free. And finally, the third thing, which I wish was the first thing, but it has to be the third thing, is the sustainability benefits of the comforter and bedding products. Really, the first two get us to the line, and the sustainability messaging helps us cross the line. We also learn what messaging works and doesn't work, like I mentioned earlier. We tried so many different types of messaging, from really just leaning in on sustainability to just talking about the design of the comforter, and then also talking about the functional benefits. And what we really learned is when we put up ads that talked about the functional benefits, that got the most click-through, and then when people click through from the ad to the website, we also show those functional benefits with the right imagery that resonates around those functional benefits. That's what really gets people to convert. Learn what we should focus on with creative and art direction. So this was really important as well early on, because we weren't spending a ton of money on shots. We hired someone on Upwork for about $200 to come to our apartment and take photos. From that, what we learned is there's a certain type of imagery that resonates, and it's that natural, authentic bedroom vibe that I was talking to you about earlier. So when we were launching in December of 2017, we were confident that if we put $15,000 down on a studio shot for 2 days, what we get, the assets we get, will have a high ROI. So that was very important for us. Next, understand the impact of offer and deal mechanics. I talked a little bit about this, but really learning that these risk-free trials and these 30-day return policies all sound the same to consumers. It's really all the same. So how can you really stand out? And how we were able to stand out is through that try before buying program. We started with 30 days because that's what we felt was right for customers to really be able to spend time with the comforter. But right when we launched, we learned that really people figure it out in their first 5 to 7 days. So we were able to shift from 30 days to 7 days, which helped free up cash for us to be able to spend in marketing again. Feedback and iteration on products to make improvements. So we're really big on this even today. We love customer feedback on our products, and we iterate and create many variations and versions of our product. But like I mentioned earlier on, we had 9 variations, and really making improvements to those variations and teeing into that one product was a big part of our success. You can sell ads online all day, you can have a beautiful website, but if you don't have a good product that resonates with 8 or 9 out of 10 people, I don't think you can be successful in the long run. And that just product validation, I think, helped us really hit the ground running. And then finally, understanding implications of shipping and warehousing. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but really the unit economics view of things is very important. What is your cost of goods? How much duty and taxes are you paying on that? What is your shipping cost, your marketing cost, your packaging cost, et cetera, to get that product to customers? If we didn't do this validation earlier on about warehousing, we probably would have said, let's not launch because we're not going to make money. We're not going to be profitable. But by being able to iterate and find cheaper shipping options, cheaper packaging options, we were confident that when we launch, we can be profitable on a contribution margin basis. So these are all the things that helped us validate our idea, and what I would recommend is it's okay to spend time. It's okay not to have that beautiful website. It's okay not to, be spending $500 on Facebook ads a day. That's all fine. Start slow, start to validate your idea, get that feedback, and if you're able to generate all that feedback and push it back into your product, into your messaging, et cetera, you'll be much more successful when you launch. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, we have a ton of questions for you, my friend.
All right.
First up, how do you find a 3PL? Finding a warehouse or assembly worker seems really daunting when thinking of selling a product.
I had the same feeling before we launched, and they're now just the prevalence of direct-to-consumers coming to market. There have been a lot of 3PLs who have also popped up and are servicing direct-to-consumer customers. So really, the process for us was really talking to other brands that have already launched and understanding the 3PLs they're using. That was very helpful. But actually, right 2 months before launching, we did an online search, spoke to a bunch of people we know in the space, and got a long list of 20 3PLs, just desktop research, Google research, and reached out to all of them and got pricing and quotes back, visited about 5 facilities, and looked at some of the tech ability that they have. And through pricing, tech ability, and just like operational leanness, we were able to find the one we want to go with. But there are a ton out there, and they're super easy to find.
Gotcha. Okay. So okay. These are coming in so fast. What's your messaging like to customers who provide feedback that you're not able to implement, and how do you make it authentic?
Yeah, that's a great question. You'll always have unsatisfied customers. That is the unfortunate part. So you were talking about the temperature regulating comforter that we have, right? It's not cool to sleep hot. This only works with 8 out of 10 customers. The 2 out of 10 customers who sleep really hot and are really mad that the comforter didn't work for them will write negative reviews and give us bad feedback. But what we understand is that it works for those 8 people. So we have to kind of go above that and continue to, in our messaging, reflect that this works for 80% of customers. It may not work for you. We'll take your money back. We'll take the product back and give you your money, not take your money back. We'll return, you can return your goods, but you really have to stay above all the negativity if you know that it's only going to work for, it's going to work for majority of the customers. Then there's other feedback that we get around, some product defects because might be a stain on a comforter or because the packaging was destroyed when it got to the customer. And we're able to take that feedback and apply it directly into what we do with our operations. And if it becomes a really prevalent issue in our quarterly planning when we lay out our OKRs or our goals, it actually becomes a goal for us, and we track those as metrics to see if they're improving or not. So we take our direct feedback into our goal setting on a quarterly basis.
Gotcha. Okay. At what point did you realize that testing was a core value of your marketing model?
Yeah, from day one, and it exists today. So we've tested from every single angle that you can see from what I shared earlier. But even today, we need to scale further. We need to move beyond Facebook ads. And we've been going into podcasts or out of home in New York, Chicago, and Seattle. We've been working on affiliates and many other channels. And the only way to get those channels right is through testing. So you have to be able to put a little bit of budget down for testing. So even today, we spend a lot of our budget and a lot of our time into testing to understand what works in one channel versus another. And then once we realize that there's statistical significance to actually launch in that channel, or we have confidence based on what we're seeing with our numbers, we will go all in. But we test almost everything we do today.
Okay, and how did you identify betting influencers? That's such an interesting question.
Yeah. It's very time intensive, but you have to spend a lot of time on Instagram searching hashtags. So hashtags like natural living or sustainable bedding or wellness, things like this, and find the hashtag people who are posting with those hashtags and spend time looking at their assets and their imagery and saying, is this an influencer that we believe resonates with our brand? So we actually have a few folks that do this full time. They're out just scouring our user-generated content and new influencer-generated content to really identify those influencers where their assets really seem to align with what we are doing.
I didn't even know there was such a thing as a betting influencer.
Yeah, well, they're more like natural wellness, organic living influencers who want that throughout their lives, and betting is one part of their life.
Yeah, big part.
Yeah.
Okay, so Janet wants to know, what channels did you use to capture feedback from your test groups, and what worked best?
Yeah. What worked best was once we sold the products to email those customers right away. Right when we know that the product got to their home, waiting 24 hours for them to experience the product, and in our subject line say, like, keep this bedding for free, or get 50% back on this bedding. And email was the best way to reach out to those customers, and we insisted on getting on the phone with them. Because there's only so much insight you can get through a survey that you send through email, or even like the comments of Facebook ads. We were really hone in on getting on the phone with our customers to get that feedback. We even do that today. We have a program called Buffy Labs, where we have a little over 1,000 of our customers who are part of this program. And we do send surveys out to them because it's a lot faster, but we have someone on our team who gets on the phone with them on a daily basis to collect that feedback.
Ooh, I like this one from Chris. Okay, would you encourage new brands to direct ad spend to content creators like podcasts, publishers, influencers, etc., with the rising costs on digital platforms?
Yeah, so I would say Facebook and Instagram ads are the fastest way to get something into just the market and for consumers to see it. It takes a lot more upfront work to do some of the things to content creators, and it's a lot more expensive, actually. If you want to get into a podcast that has a smaller amount of listeners or subscribers, it does actually, I believe, cost more than just putting up a Facebook ad. Even though the kind of cost per clicks now are rising, it's still cheaper that way. I think what is the cheapest, and you could probably even do it for free, is actually targeting micro influencers. Influencers that have, call it, between 2,500 to 10,000 followers who really resonate with your brand, and if you send them your product, will post about it for free. I've actually found they get the highest engaging audience, and if you just look at the engagement rate or the conversion rate from those micro influencers, the percentage is really high. And a lot of the times they'll do it for free because they get free product. And if I was to spend my time today, I would focus on spending a little bit on Facebook ads, and then probably the rest of my time on micro influencers.
That's interesting because it sounds like you're not all consumed by, let's say, an influencer who has 10 million followers. Like, that's not exactly the person you want to hone in on.
Yeah, the ROI is really low, and frankly, they're just overpriced.
Yeah.
Someone who has 10,000 plus followers is going to want way too much money, and a lot of their followers aren't genuine followers, I believe. They might not have bought their followers, but the engagement rates and just the conversion rates are much lower. I think the micro influencers who are super authentic have a much stronger following.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry if you have a lot of followers.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, let's see. Kelsey wants to know, how did you decide what channels you want to market on? Are you exploring more options today?
Yeah. Once you hit a certain point on paid social, primarily Facebook, Instagram, but also like Pinterest and Snapchat, which hasn't worked really well for us, to really scale beyond that, you have to test into other channels. So what we learned really early on is we were acquiring 90% of our customers through paid social, which can't put all your eggs in one basket. Over time, we were able to get it to about 80%, and now it's just slightly below 60%, and our goal by Q1 2020 is to get it below 50%. So that means we really have to test into other channels. What has really come to be a strong channel has been affiliates. So working with publishers and some bloggers and content creators where they authentically talk about our product. And we don't really give them talking points. We send them the product and have them experience it themselves. And they'll write a review or they'll write an article about it, and they get X percentage of sales. And that's been gone from 1% to 12 or 13% of our customer acquisition. And we're trying to do the same in other channels.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear how all of this works. Okay, we have time for one more question. How did you define your ideal customer / target market when you started, and how has that shifted as you've grown?
This is a tough question because without getting too theoretical about this, I think it's very important to identify a customer that you're going to target, and that makes a ton of sense. But at the end of the day, we want to be a mass brand. We want to resonate with a lot of people to hit a certain level of scale. So you have to balance those two things. So what we say is we want to be mass but cool, and our cool customer is primarily a 25 to 40-year-old female in popular metropolitan cities, who's like believes in natural products, who believes in sustainability. But really, our customers isn't that demographic only. It kind of is wide-ranging from Kansas City to Dallas to Sacramento to up and down the East Coast, and both genders and all age groups.
Cool. Shoaib, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thank you, everyone.